I met Daniel on a rainy afternoon at the bookstore near my apartment. I had just moved to the city and didn't know many people. My life was quiet. I went to work, came home, watched old movies, and read books alone on the weekends. That day, I was looking at a shelf full of novels when someone beside me said, "That one's my favorite." I turned and saw him, tall, a little awkward, with kind eyes and a soft voice. He was pointing to a book I had just picked up. "Really?" I said. "I was just trying to decide." "I've read it 3 times," he said. "The ending broke me." I laughed. "Sounds like a challenge." We started talking, about books, about life. He told me he worked in marketing and loved quiet, places like this. I told him I was new in town and still figuring things out. We talked for over an hour, right there, in the aisle. Before we left, he said, "Would you have coffee with me sometime?" I said yes, and that's how it began. Our first date was simple, a coffee shop, light rain outside. We sat by the window and talked about everything. Music, families, our favorite food, silly dreams. Daniel made me laugh. A lot. He wasn't trying. Too hard. He was just real. After the date, he texted me that night. "I don't want to wait days to see you again. Can I take you to dinner tomorrow?" I remember reading it with a stupid smile on my face. The next night, we had dinner. And after that, we were almost always together. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Soon, Daniel was part of my daily routine. He'd pick me up from work. He'd bring me flowers for no reason. He cooked dinner at my place, stayed over some nights. We went on little trips, nothing fancy. Just beach days, nature trails, hidden coffee shops. He always said, "You make everything feel like home." I believed him. He met my parents. They loved him. My mom said, "He looks at you like you're the only girl in the world." I thought so too. On my birthday, he surprised me with a weekend trip to the countryside. We stayed in a small cabin, with fairy lights and a fireplace. On the second night, he held my hand and said, "I'm going to marry you one day." I looked at him and said, "I hope so." And I meant it, because I loved him, deeply, blindly. He had become my best friend, my person, my safe place. I thought I had found the one. But I didn't know something was already breaking beneath the surface. He was hiding things. And soon my perfect world would start to fall apart, slowly, quietly, painfully. It started with little things. He'd go silent for hours. He started working late more often. He didn't text back as fast. He stopped making plans. I had to ask, always. Then one night, we were watching a movie and his phone lit up. A message. He picked it up fast and turned the screen away. I asked, "Who was that?" He said, "Just a work thing." But his voice wasn't right. His eyes didn't meet mine. That night, after he fell asleep, I checked his phone. I know I shouldn't have. But I did. The message was still there. "Miss you already." No name, just a number. I stared at it for a long time. My chest felt tight. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning I asked him, "Is there someone else?" He looked surprised. "What? No, of course not." I wanted to believe him. I tried to believe him. But the seed of doubt was already planted, and it was growing fast. After that night, I couldn't stop thinking about the message on Daniel's phone. "Miss you already." It played in my head over and over. I tried to ignore it. Tried to tell myself it was nothing. Maybe it really was a coworker, just joking around. But deep down, I knew better. I watched him closely. The way he looked at his phone when he thought I wasn't watching. The way he typed quickly and then locked the screen. The way he stopped, talking about his day like he used to. His stories became shorter, empty. One evening, I asked if he wanted to go to dinner like we used to. He said he was tired. "I just need space tonight," he added. That word, space, hit me hard. Space from what? From me, we never used to need space. That night, he didn't come over. He said he was at his place, resting. I stared at the ceiling for hours. Something was wrong, and I knew it. I told my best friend, Lila. She said, "You need to know the truth. Don't let him play with you." I nodded, but I didn't want to believe the worst. I still loved him. Stupidly. 2 days later, I followed him. I know how that sounds. But I needed to know. He said he had to work late again. I waited outside his office. An hour passed, then another, and then I saw him. He wasn't alone. He walked out with a woman, tall, pretty, wearing heels and laughing at something he said. They didn't notice me. He opened the door for her like he used to do for me. Then they got into his car. I followed them at a distance. They drove to a restaurant, the kind with candlelight and soft music. I parked across the street and sat in my car, my hands shaking. They stayed for over an hour. When they walked out, she was holding his arm. They looked close, too close. And then he kissed her, right there, on the sidewalk. I couldn't breathe. I drove away as fast as I could. My heart was in pieces. My throat was dry. My eyes burned. The man who told me he wanted to marry me had kissed someone else while still sleeping in my bed, telling me he loved me. I didn't answer his calls that night. He texted me, "Hey babe, just finished work. Miss you." My hands shook with anger. I didn't reply. He texted again the next morning. "Is everything okay?" Still, I said nothing. I didn't know what to say. Should I scream? Cry? Beg him to explain? Or should I let him burn in silence? That afternoon, he came to my apartment. I didn't open the door. He knocked for a while, called my name, sent more messages. Finally, I sent one back. Just one line. "I saw you." He didn't reply for 10 minutes. Then, "Please, Ava, let me explain." But I didn't want his explanation. I had seen everything I needed to. The next day, he left a letter at my door. I didn't want to read it, but I did. It said, "I didn't mean for this to happen. I love you, Ava. I got close to her during a hard time, but it didn't mean anything. I was confused. I messed up. But I never stopped loving you, I swear." I stared at the letter, my hands cold. So that's what I was to him now. A habit he broke by mistake? I tore the letter in half. Then I packed his things. The toothbrush, his shirts, the book he never returned, the photos, everything. I put them in a box and left it by my door. I sent one last message. "Your things are outside. Don't come back," he replied once. "I'm sorry, but it was too late." Sorry couldn't undo betrayal. The next few days were the hardest of my life. I cried in the shower, cried at night. At work, on the subway, everywhere. I had given him everything, my heart, my trust, my future, and he had thrown it all away. But somewhere in that pain, I felt something else. A small voice inside me, one that said, "You didn't deserve this." That voice grew stronger every day, and soon I would start to rebuild myself, not for him, not for anyone, but for me. The days that followed were slow and heavy. I deleted Daniel's number, blocked him on everything. I returned the necklace he gave me to the back of a drawer. I changed the sheets. I took down the photos on the wall. But memories don't go away, just because you want them to. I still woke up thinking of him. I still looked at the door, half expecting him to walk in. Healing is not quick. It's not clean. It's a slow, messy thing. Some days I felt strong. Other days I broke down over a song or a street corner we used to walk together. But I kept going. I joined a yoga class. I spent more time with Lila. I started painting again, badly, but with feeling. I let myself cry when I needed to. I let myself laugh when I could, and slowly, I started breathing freely again. Then one morning, 2 months later, I saw him. I was in a cafe with Lila, sipping coffee, laughing about something dumb when he walked in. He didn't see me at first. He was with no one, just standing in line, looking a little tired, a little older. Still familiar. Still wrong. I froze. Lila saw him too. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "You don't have to do anything," she whispered. "We can leave." But I didn't. I stood up. He looked over. And for a second, the whole world went silent. "Hi," he said, as if we were strangers meeting by accident. "You look good." I nodded. "So do you." We stood in silence for a moment. He shifted, nervous. "I've been thinking about you a lot," he said. "I wanted to message, but I didn't know if I should." "You shouldn't have," I said quietly. "I miss you, Ava." I looked at him, really looked. The man I once wanted to marry, the man who shattered my heart. "I'm not the same girl anymore," I said. "And I don't think you really miss me. I think you miss what I gave you, and you lost that the day you kissed her." He swallowed hard. "I made a mistake." "You made a choice," I said. "A mistake is spilling coffee. You chose to betray me." He lowered his eyes. I could feel my heart beating, but not with sadness. Not this time. I felt strong. "I have to go," I said. He reached out like he wanted to say something else. But I was already walking away. That night I didn't cry. I made tea, watched the sunset, wrote in my journal. I wrote, "I saw him today, and I didn't fall apart." That must mean something. Weeks turned into months again. Life moved on. I didn't date anyone for a while. I wanted time to be with myself, to understand who I was without someone beside me. I learned to go to the movies alone, to dance in my apartment with music too loud, to read books without thinking, would he like this one? One day I saw a flyer for a local art workshop. It was for beginners and anyone who wanted to paint their feelings. I signed up. I thought maybe I'd find peace in colors again. The first day of the workshop, I met Jonah. He sat beside me, quiet but warm. He smiled with his eyes, asked about my favorite artist, laughed when I said I didn't have one. "You don't need to know artists to make art," he said. "You just need to feel something." We started talking more during class breaks. He told me he worked at a music school, that he once tried to be a songwriter, that he failed, but still loved melodies. He never asked about my past, never made me feel small. One day after class, he asked, "Want to grab some food?" I hesitated, not because I didn't want to, but because I was scared. He noticed. "No, pressure," he said, "only if it feels right." So I said yes, and it did feel right. We talked for hours. We didn't kiss. We didn't even touch hands. But when he walked me to my door, he smiled and said, "I'd like to see you again." And I smiled back. I'd like that too. I didn't tell Jonah about Daniel right away. But one evening, after weeks of talking and walking and sharing quiet moments, I finally did. I told him everything. The bookstore, the love, the betrayal, the pain. He listened, without judging, without interrupting. When I finished, he didn't say, "He didn't deserve you," or "You should have left sooner." He just said, "I'm sorry that happened to you." And somehow, those words felt like a hug. I don't know what Jonah and I are yet. Maybe something beautiful, maybe just two people helping each other heal. But for the first time in a long time, I'm not looking for a forever promise. I'm looking for something real, something honest, even if it's slow, even if it takes time. Because now, I know who I am, and I'll never let anyone break me like that again. 6 months had passed, half a year since Daniel walked out of my life and left me to rebuild it from scratch. I won't pretend it was easy. Healing never is. But now I can. Say this, I'm not broken anymore. The cracks are still there, but they don't hurt like they used to. They remind me that I survived, that I grew, that I refused to stay in the dark. I no longer cry in the shower. I sing. Not well, but loud and free. I no longer check his social media. I forgot what his profile even looked like. I no longer wonder. What might have been? Because what I have now, me, standing tall, strong, clear-eyed, is more than I ever imagined. Jonah and I are still seeing each other. But it's different this time. There's no pressure, no rush, no fairy tale dreams. Just quiet mornings, gentle conversations, art classes, and laughter. A lot of laughter. He doesn't complete me. He adds to me. And I never realized how important that difference was until now. Sometimes we go days without texting, and it's fine. We're both growing in our own spaces, supporting each other from close, but never smothering. He encourages me to chase the things I abandoned. My dream of opening a small art cafe, the poems I used to write and never show anyone, the painting that now hangs in my apartment with messy strokes and deep colors that say everything I couldn't put into words. One day, while I was walking through the city, I passed by the bookstore, where Daniel and I first met. For a second, I paused. Memories flashed, that shy smile, his hand brushing mine, the way my heart leapt when he said my name. But then I looked again, and all I saw was paper and walls and shelves. No ghosts, no ache, just a store. And just like that, I walked past it, with a smile. I've changed. I no longer believe in perfect people, but I do believe in real ones. People who make mistakes, yes, but who choose love over selfishness, truth over lies. I also believe in myself. I believe in waking up alone and feeling complete, in making my own coffee, in buying myself flowers, in taking myself out to dinner just because. I believe in loving someone, but never losing yourself in the process. Months after that, I got a message on a quiet Sunday morning. It was from Daniel, just one sentence. I hope you're doing okay. I stared at it for a while. There was no anger in me, no pain, just peace. I didn't reply. Not because I hated him, but because I no longer needed anything from him, not closure, not apologies, not validation. His chapter in my life had ended, and mine had only just begun. I opened my journal and wrote, "This is not a love story. This is a story about coming home to yourself after being lost in someone else's world. This is a story about survival, rediscovery, and growth. And maybe one day love will knock again. But when it does, I'll open the door as a woman who knows her worth, not a girl hoping someone else will give it to her.